I come back from the feed store, a sack of corn slung under one arm, a thermos of black coffee in the other, when I spotted Eden neon orange sticker plastered across the windshield of my tractor like a cheap prank gone wrong. It screamed, towing scheduled in 24 hours for non-compliance. My jaw tightened. That tractor was parked square in the middle of my own damn farm, a 47-acre stretch of dirt, and sweat 5 miles from the nearest stoplight. I don't live in some cookie-cutter subby VY shown. My neighbors are cows, and the only gates around here keep livestock in, not people out. That's when I knew something was rotten, and it was about to explode like a brush fire in August. I set the corn down slow, staring at the sticker like it might explain itself. My John Deere wasn't blocking a road or squatting on anybody's manicured lawn. It was right by the barn, same as it had been for a decade. The cows chewed their cud, eyeing me like I was the one losing it. Then I heard gravel crunch behind me. A white SUV rolled up my private drive, a magnetic sign slapped on the side. Crest VYEW Compliance Patrol. 3 folks in matching polos climbed out, clipboards in hand, squinting like they just walked into a war zone. I strolled over, forcing a grin. Y'all lost. The oldest, a sweaty guy with a face red as raw hamburger, cleared his throat. No, sir. We're with the Crest VYEW HOA. We've had complaints about unregistered equipment on an HOA-managed lot. I blinked, then laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. Crest VYEU's a gated community a mile down the road, full of McMansions and people who think rural means a big backyard. Their rules stop at my fence line. I wave at the fields behind me. This ain't your lot. This is my farm, zoned agricultural since Truman was president. Cows outnumber you 5-1 here. The woman beside him, all sharp edges and tighter hair, flipped her clipboard. Our updated district map says this parcel's under our jurisdiction. She jabbed at a color-coded paper like it was the Constitution. I stopped laughing. District expansion? I said slow. Without my say-so? Without a county notice? Without knocking on my door? They nodded, all pious, like they were SAVYing the world. I told them, real calm, to get off my land before I call my lawyer my bull, whichever showed up first. They scurried back to their SUV, but I wasn't done. I snapped pictures of the sticker, called the county zoning office while pacing the barn. The clerk confirmed my land was still agricultural, no HOA claim, no map changes, nothing. I hung up, but my gut churned. This wasn't a mix-up. This was a power grab. That night, I talked to my neighbor, Hank, who runs a dairy farm down the road. He'd seen that same SUV sniffing around his place, Leah VYing flyers about noise and fences. He thought it was a joke until a citation showed up on his gate. I wasn't so sure it was funny anymore. Next morning, I hit the county recorder's office. The clerk, a gray-haired woman named Ellen, raised an eyebrow when I showed her the sticker and flyer. That HOA's been pushing boundaries lately, she said, lips tight. Filing expansions, hoping nobody checks. Most folks cave to avoid the hassle. Not you, though. I grinned. Not me. I spent an hour digging through records. My farm hadn't changed zones since the Great Depression. I printed every document I could carry, drove home, and nailed a laminated sign to my gate. Agricultural property. No trespassing. No HOA. But they didn't quit. That evening, I spotted the SUV again, parked at the edge of my drive, snapping photos of my barn. I waved, real friendly, while recording them with my phone. One of them flinched and herded the others back to the car. I caught a glimpse of another sticker in their hands. I called the sheriff, laid out the situation. He chuckled. Post your signs. Keep your zoning papers handy. They step past your gate, I'll have a chat with them. That night, my trail cam pinged at midnight. Footage showed headlights and a figure with a flashlight creeping along my fence line. They didn't cross, but they were too close. I saved the VY Deo, added it to my growing file. This wasn't a mistake. It was a campaign. The air felt heavy next morning as I drove back to the county office. That flashlight in the dark had lit a fire in me, same as the one that kept my grandpa plowing this land through dust storms and banknotes. I wasn't letting clipboard bullies steal my dirt. At the counter, Ellen handed me a thick folder. Inside was a map with a shaky red line swallowing my farm and others. No county seal, no signatures, no legal weight. It was a fake, slipped into the system like they thought nobody'd notice. Ellen shook her head. Not processed. No hearing, no vote. Keep this safe and call a lawyer. I called my cousin, Nate, a property attorney who'd seen this kind of nonsense before. He wasn't shocked. HOAs are like weeds now, grabbing land for dues and control. Build a timeline, document everything. If we prove harassment, the county won't be the only one interested. On my way home, Hank called, voice low. Someone had taped a violation notice to his barn overnight. Due law, $5,000 fine for improper fencing and animal noise. I told him it was bunk and swung by with a fake map. His hand shook as he read it. Hank's no fighter. He makes cheese and hums to his cows. But when I said we'd stand together, his eyes hardened. By nightfall, 5 neighbors agreed to log every HOA, stunt photos, flyers, all of it. Then another notice hit my gate, claiming my barn's red paint broke Crest EU's neutral palette rules. Iloghed till choquet. They wanted my livestock barn to match their beige suburbia. I didn't touch the notice. I photographed it, staked 3 signs by my drive: private agricultural land, no HOA authority, and beware of bull. The bull part wasn't a lie, but worked both ways. I bought 2 motion cameras, set one on the road, one by the barn, hooked to a cloud backup. If they sneaked back, I'd catch them. Floodlights, went up to anyone creeping at night, would light up like a county fair. A knock came that evening. It was Clara, a local reporter who sniffed out zoning fights. She'd heard about my trouble from Ellen. I showed her the sticker, the map, the VY Deos. Her eyes lit up. This is bigger than one farm. She promised a story and left as the sun sank. My gut said the quiet wouldn't hold. Crest VYEW had crossed a line, and they weren't backing off, they were doubling down. Sure enough, a tow truck idled in my drive. Next morning, that SUV right behind it. The driver tapped the tablet, looking uneasy. I didn't yell. I climbed onto my tractor, fired it up, let rumble like a warning shot. Sipping coffee, I stared the driver down. The HOA trio marched over, tan shirts and name tags, yelling over the engine about vehicle storage violations. I pointed to the ground. This is my land. Got zoning papers in the kitchen if you need them. The driver hesitated, asked for proof. I told him touching my tractor without a court order would cost him more than his truck was worth. Then, like a gift, a sheriff's cruiser rolled up. Deputy Carl, who'd taken my call last night, strolled over, hand on his belt, grinning like he lived for this. I gave him the short version. Fake jurisdiction, towing threats, trespassing. He asked the HOA for their papers. They handed over that shaky map and a violation notice. Carl read slow, then asked for county authorization. Then mumbled about pro-VY signal oversight, but had nothing real. I passed Carl my zoning docs. He nodded, turned to the HOA, voice like steel. No authority here. Try towing, it's theft. Step on this land again without a county order, you're in cuffs. The tow truck peeled out. The HOA crew turned red, the woman with the clipboard sputtering about property values. Carl, cut her off. This ain't a cul-de-sac. It's a farm. I offered him a water bottle from the barn fridge. He said he'd keep watch and drove off. I sat on the tractor, engine humming, just because I could. That night, I laminated Carl's report and hung it in the barn, right by the feed bins. A reminder, sometimes the law still works. Days passed quiet, too quiet. I reinforced my fences, added a sign by the creek. Hank said he'd seen unmarked cars near his trees. Then, just before dawn, a buzz woke me. A black drone with red lights zipped over my barn, dipping low, filming my fields. I didn't chuck a rock, though I wanted to. I recorded it with my phone till it vanished toward Crest VYEW. Trail cam footage later showed a tan-shirt figure grabbing it by a silver hatchback. Nos jam, nos teles. That afternoon, a thick envelope slid through my Gatino stamp, just Crest VYEW letterhead. It claimed my cow's waste and tractor storage triggered a due law $12,000 fine for NVY, environmental impact. I held it like it might bite. A farm fine for manure? That's like finding the sky for rain. I scanned it, sent it to Nate. He replied fast. They're done. The notice was a legal overstep grounds for a harassment suit. I added the drone VY Deo to my binder, now labeled Crest VY EW incursion log, with timestamps and GPS. I traced the hatchback's plate to a Crest VY EW board member. Clara called, hungry for more. I gave her the envelope, the footage, everything. She said the paper would run a full spread Sunday and might pitch it to regional news. I told her to go big. I wasn't hiding. Sunday's paper hit like a thunderclap. Hetlin, fama faihuain vasinon. It spilled everything: fake maps, drone spying, bogus fines. The town buzzed. At the feed store, folks slapped my back. At church, someone left me cookies with a note. Keep swinging. 3 farmers from other counties emailed, saying they'd face the same. 2 caved. 1 moved. I wasn't MOVYing. Hank called, said he'd seen Crest VY EU's president, Margaret Tate, pacing their back lot, yelling into her phone. Their plan was fraying, but cornered dogs bite harder. Then Margaret showed up at my door, khakis crisp, pearls gleaming, a citation pad in hand. She offered voluntary compliance to avoid escalation. I gave her 60 seconds to leave, or I'd call Carl. She didn't budge, waved her pad, claimed a new unity policy governed my barn's look and my cow's noise. Then she dropped a bomb, drone footage of unlicensed active VY tie and dumping on my land. My pulse spiked, not from guilt-tide, done nothing but from her gall. She was building a lie to bury me. I asked to see the footage. She smirked, said it'd come at a compliance hearing. I said there'd be no hearing and followed her to her car, loud enough for the cameras. This VY sits recorded, and my lawyer's waiting. Nate said we had enough for a cease and desist, maybe a restraining order. He suggested a fraud investigator Margaret's fake claims could mean court on multiple fronts. I like that. I checked my drone footage, frame by frame. Nothing but honest work. To head her off, I scheduled a voluntary county inspection. The clerk said they'd never had a complaint about my land, but sent a signed confirmation. If Margaret tried an NVY mental lie, I'd have the county's word first. Clara called her article had gone VY-RAL. A news station wanted an on-site inter-VYEW. I said yes. The crew filmed by the barn, capturing every detail. As they packed up, I saw her, Margaret, in my cornfield, holding a soil sample bag. I walked over, lost. She claimed a private investigation into soil leaching. I asked if she knew my barn had audio. Her face froze. I asked again, slower, if she knew she'd been recorded admitting trespassing and faking EVY Denke. She babbled about sanctions, then bolted when I pulled my phone. I sent the audio to Nate. He texted back, "We've got her." The courtroom smelled of polish and tension. I sat in clean jeans, Nate beside me, cool as a winter stream. Margaret and her board squirmed across the aisle, papers spilling from her binder. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman with no patience for nonsense, took her seat. Crest VY EU's lawyer spun a tale of community standards and land misuse. Nate handed over our file maps, VY Deo's, audio, inspections, and said the HOA had no jurisdiction, only violations of their own. The judge read, silent, then asked about the drone. Nate played it on the courtroom monitor, buzzing over my fields, then Margaret's lackey grabbing it. The judge snapped, unlawful. Then the audio, Margaret's voice, clear, admitting her trespass. The room held its breath. The judge asked Crest VYEW for legal authorization. They had none. She ruled, no jurisdiction, no expansion, injunction against contact, county audit ordered. She said I could sue for harassment. I nodded, letting the truth roar louder than words. Outside, reporters swarmed. I kept it simple. This was about VYing free, not fighting. Back home, the cows didn't care about court. I fed them slow, watching the sunset over land that stayed mine. That night, Hank and neighbors came over with lemonade. We laughed about Margaret's red face in court. Hank said news outlets wanted a rural coalition to watch HOAs. I said it was time. The next weekend, folks poured in casseroles, banjo tunes, a dozen polished tractors lined up. Kids climbed. Folks snapped photos under my banner, not zoned for nonsense. The sheriff swung by, said the county had frozen HOA expansions and the state was sniffing around. As lights glowed and a fiddle played, the sky felt Cleano drones, just stars. Margaret was ousted. A whistleblower leaked emails. Crest VYEW targeted farms to force sales. Resignations followed. Fines refunded. The story spread podcasts, reporters, farmers fighting back. Clara brought a framed article, said I'd woken the county. I set it by the original sticker, laminated, labeled Exhibit 1. A neighbor left a sign. No HOA. Violators will be laughed at. I mounted it proud. Summer faded, fields goldening. The tractor gleamed, not just a tool, but a middle finger to bullies. Under the barn light, coffee in hand, I thought back to that sticker. They picked the wrong fight. The land stayed quiet, my boundaries ironclad, and 2 framed signs told the tale. Private AG land and try me. So what do you think? Should farmers have to bow to HOAs creeping onto their land? Or is this a straight-up abuse of power? Would you have fought like I did, or paid the fines to avoid the hassle? And how far should folks go to protect what's theirs legal battles, public shaming, or something else? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're with me, and subscribe for more stories where the little guy fights back. Let's keep this fire burning.